Okay, I think we're live. We're live. Let me just double check we're live. Yep, we're live. Definitely live. Okay. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to tonight's live session with Shivallah Dharma. It's about anchoring into being. And so we'll have a conversation with Shivallah. So if you would like to ask questions, if you like to know what he means about anchoring into being, he's here to clarify any doubts and to give us a little bit of a bigger understanding about what this topic is about. So first of all, let me tell you about Shivallah. Shivallah became deeply involved in Eastern mystic teachings, meditation, and the healing arts after a near-death experience, a car accident at the age of 19. In 1993, he relocated to New Zealand and opened a meditation healing center over there, where he began consciousness awakening teachings and human potential education workshops. Isn't that amazing? Shivallah has presented events in Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Germany, Sweden, Malta, UK, Canada, California, and Hawaii. I mean, in the US, in Hawaii, he used to live there. And he was offering deep peace immersion gatherings and meditations and workshops and retreats. He remained on the island of Maui for 14 years. He was immersed in the Polynesia culture, studying and teaching sovereignty principles. And he returned to Australia in 2014. Thank you for that, Shivallah. That's amazing. All these many years of teachings for you. So I just want to know a little bit about how did it all start for you after your car accident. So can you tell us briefly about that?
Yes, I was at home from 19 years of age until 22, straight after the car accident. And through that time, I was having spontaneous mystical experiences and also going in and out of a natural spontaneous meditative state. And I began to recognize that that is actually what it was. So at a certain point around about the age of 21, I entered the Spiritualist Church in Victoria of Australia and participated in a one night a week meditation for mediumship and psychic development. But it was a meditation that we would enter that one night a week for the next year. So it was 12 months program. And then many, many things started to develop and unfold from that point. And a natural sense of visioning and a natural sense of life purpose was being revealed to me during that time.
That's amazing. So kind of what kind of helped you recognize what was happening to you? You know what I'm saying? You had these states that were happening to you naturally. When did it come to you? What was happening to you? You know, what this peace meant and all that stuff.
Well, through all my studies prior to the age of 22, towards the end of that training, I had been reading about the light, the inner light, the awakening of the inner light. Also remembering that Yeshua, known as Jesus, had spoken about the light within. And then I was reading from other mystical teachers, also talking about how to awaken the light within. Well, one particular evening, about 3 or 4 months after practicing a very ancient Tratak Indian meditation, which was about gazing at the candlelight, I then had the experience of the inner light waking up from within, and it completely outshined any sense of bodily form, And it was like being immersed in its extraordinary bliss beyond physical reality. And there was just a pure formless light, and I was the one who was aware of being consciousness in this formless light. And when I started to come back into bodily form, at a certain point, there was just a knowingness, of course. It was undisputable, you could say, what had just occurred. And it had actually translated my body into, in one sense, a heightened sensitive vehicle from that point onwards.
That's beautiful. Now, you know what? It's interesting. Last night we had a meditation night, and one of the things we did was actually do that, like look at the light within and make it grow beyond our physical bodies. So when you speak about what happened to you, it's like what we saw last night. That's amazing. That's very timely. So how did you come to the name anchoring into being? What does that mean to you? Why did you decide to call this teaching anchoring into being?
Once again, it actually arose out of my own, you could say, meditation practice. And especially when I was walking on the streets of a suburb or around the shopping centers or in a city, there was always an awareness of the amount of activity happening all around me, and a sense that you could see that people weren't necessarily operating from a centered space of beingness. There was more of a momentum of the outward turn of awareness on the activity of doing and thinking and projection into the world. So because of the heightened sensitivity and feeling like I was extremely vulnerable, extremely transparent after the car accident, I had to be more alert, more aware of maintaining a sense of centeredness and anchoring into being as I was emerging back into the world, you could say. So that's how it was initially born. And then in 1996, I ended up in Los Angeles, California, and watching the heightened amount of activity once again and movement in Los Angeles compared to what we know of in Australia, in Sydney or Melbourne or wherever you could mention, Perth or Brisbane. Los Angeles was like 10 times or 100 times more potent in the sense of activity and busyness. So it was just a natural, once again, a natural phrase that was coming to me after offering counseling sessions to many people in Los Angeles also, and hearing that they were having difficulty with how do they anchor, how do they ground when their attention is so outward turned, and the demand to have to be involved in activities of all the time, something physical, something emotional, something mental. So I just coined this terminology, anchoring, how to anchor back into being, how to return back to that. Not to deny the activity, but how to bring that sense of beingness into the realm of activity by anchoring.
So these times, I mean, you're talking about back in 1996 when you lived in Los Angeles, and I imagine, especially Los Angeles, such a big city, lots of things happening, a lot of people putting masks on and living, as you were saying, outward and trying to appear something else, you know, to be something else and trying to look like the other person and everyone going through. So it's a lot of I imagine that was kind of very, very clear to you what people were doing back then. But bringing it back to today, where we're going through so much, I don't know, confusion, chaos, lots of things happening in the world. where everyone seems to be a little bit lost. How do you bring that back to this point in time? Why do you think it's now back into this so important right now?
What I saw was happening in Los Angeles, especially so intensified as it is pretty much still happening, I'd say, throughout the world. It's happening in Australia because it was correct what you just said. When one has that reconnection with the formlessness of being, where the mask is taken off, where the mask of personality has been removed, and you're sitting in the stillness of being, you're not wearing a mask of the self anymore. You are just simply pure awareness, bearing witness to what is arising within your field of awareness. So, of course, on the streets in Los Angeles, and especially being what it is, it's quite an outward turn of attention kind of culture, especially in one sense when it comes to Hollywood, the development of movies, of wearing a mask, wearing a personality, changing personality masks to suit a particular stage, a particular movie theme, you could say. Well, the whole of life is like that. So from that perspective, I'm always perceiving and seeing how people are operating from a personality or through a personality mask, and how much they may be able to be truly meeting another through and from beingness. So in this day and age right now, what's changed? There's an intensification now of people wearing a mask on top of a mask. And in one sense, you could say that the phenomena of the outward turn of attention is being accentuated, being amplified tremendously so. So in one sense, the way I see it, the intelligence of consciousness is evoking, is giving an invitation to human beings. Are we going to continue functioning as a human doing, a human thinker? Or are we ready now to return our attention backwards, inwards, to our true essence, which is being awareness itself? Even though we may have to be wearing a mask, where is my attention going to in any given moment? Does this make sense, what I'm gesturing right now?
Yes, yes. And I was just thinking that we actually need to wear the masks at the moment, which is quite paradoxical.
It is. It's paradoxical. It's true.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I was just thinking. So I'm wondering, you know, there's so many people looking to connect to their beings, but there are so many others that don't even know that they are not connected to their beings. They're just living, as you said, in the outer life and moving around and just kind of trying to be what others tell them to be. What do you think can help those people to realize that they are doing that type of that they are living that type of life? You know what I'm saying? How can a person that has not even noticed that they're living outwardly come back to being?
The circumstances of life will take care of that. as it is right now. When we're being confronted with some form of crisis and trauma is arising and intensifying, it gets to a point of such contraction that the self becomes more noticeable, that it too is also going into a sense of self-contraction. And then pain begins to rise from that. We begin to suffer the pain of contraction and a sense of separation from source, a sense of separation from the harmony and the goodness of our true life, you could say. We are also sensing a form of threat. There's a possibility of life-threatening event happening in our life. There's a possibility of death looming just around the corner. We don't know. There always is anyhow. But in these times, we are being evoked. We are being called out to through this life circumstance in the world with what we all know that is arising and impacting everybody. There is tremendous crisis happening individually and collectively. What is it evoking inside of you, inside of me? Are we reacting to that and maintaining a sense of outward turn of attention and reacting to the reactions out of fear? Or are we learning to respond to that as a clarion call, a wake-up call, to go into self-inquiry, to find out, who am I? What am I on this earth for in the first place? What is my life purpose?
So do you think the first step is that for anyone that is looking, is that self-inquiry of who am I? Is that the first step to start connecting to our...
You could say that, but for those beautiful souls that their attention is still so outward turned, and they're possibly just endeavoring to maintain a certain comfort zone, trying to return back to it, or they're in reaction to their comfort zone, their normalcy of living being taken away from them, then that sense of contraction will continue to intensify until it acts like a Zen stick, until we're forced into a corner when finally we can't avoid it anymore. We realize that, okay, in any given moment, I may lose everything. Where do I go to that now? What am I giving my life to now in this moment? How much time do I have left? I may only have 1 hour left of life. My child, or my children, or my spouse, my siblings, my parents may only have 1 hour left, or a minute. What do I devote my attention to now? Have I prepared for this moment even? So the living circumstance will provide what is needed to wake up each and every individual according to the degree of what is needed or required for that particular individual or that community or that culture. In other words, the Great One, the Great Mystery is awakening itself.
And so for those who are looking and they basically kind of lost right now, because, you know, as we mentioned, there's some that don't even know they are walking just in the outside world and not looking within, just following others. But there are some that have already started that path, but they may feel a little lost and don't know where to start, what would you say to those souls?
Dedicate at least 5 to 10 minutes every morning, and possibly even 5 to 10 minutes, or even more if you can, before you go to sleep. And make it a quest, a dedicated moment where you say to yourself, I'm now going to sit here and connect with the truth of my authentic being before I enter the whirling of the world of activity throughout the day. And the same when you're about to go to sleep, even just 5 minutes. Start practicing the art of being still and watching the incoming breath, how life, the mystery of life, is giving you exactly what you need in this very moment, which is the breath of life itself. Reconnect with that. Listen to the beautiful, subtle movement of that, the softness with that. Be with the gentility of life entering your body.
I'm gonna read something little that you wrote about anchoring into being, so you could expand a little bit into that, yeah? So you said an anchoring into being an anchoring into being session serves as a catalyst to step out of the temporal world of time for a moment and rest in our inmost being, to nurture, nourish, and empower our core essence rather than habitually feeding the ego and mind. Will build a foundation for mindfulness. For mindfulness. Could you expand a little bit into that, please?
Is that enough expansion?
You were, you were. I knew it, you were.
So ultimately, that's what it is. It's to go into that space of just being, of perceiving through the eyes what is arising within the field of one's awareness, perceiving through the ears, listening to what is arising within one's field of awareness, and just being in the formlessness of non-doing, even for just a brief moment. So that then, in any given moment in the world of doing, in the world of activity, we may have spontaneous moments of remembrance, of remembering to be in beingness. And in that moment, in a sense, we initiate a natural divine intervention of bringing the vertical dimension of peace into this dimension that we refer to as the world. We cannot do peace. We cannot create it. But we can be a representative. We can be a window for it. And sometimes it may just arise just through a moment of remembrance. So the very art of anchoring to being, of learning how to be in presence, is a natural way of how to invite peace into your own habitat and into the energetic space of wherever you find yourself on planet Earth in this world.
And so I want to ask one more question. A lot of people are in fear at the moment. A lot of people are angry. There's a lot of division. Any excuse we can find, we start taking sides. You know, at the moment there's a topic that's getting everyone and keeping us divided. If it is not that, it's something else. At the moment, it's quite imminent. You know what it is, and I'm not going to say what it is, but everybody knows what's dividing us at the moment. Talk us through. So if I, for example, I'm right now in fear, I'm angry, and I don't know what to do, can you help me ground and anchor into the earth?
Okay, so the first thing, which is natural, is to invite the person who is sitting before me, or even the group, if there's a large group of people and somebody is presenting that sort of question. How do I deal with fear? Can you see me right now?
I can see.
You can see me through your eyes. Are you aware that you are the one inside that body who is perceiving the one who is speaking right now? Yes. Can you hear the sound of the speaker's voice right now? Bring your awareness to a recognition that I'm the one who can hear the sound of the speaker's voice right now. Now gently redirect your attention to locating the breath, how it is entering your body and breathing you. And notice how I said how the breath of life is breathing you. So there is a point there for connectivity, for you to make contact with, so that you can have the experience of communion with the breath of life. Whilst our attention is so outward turned, we have a natural tendency to forget that in any given moment, especially when we do remember, we can return our attention back to recognizing the breath of life, how it is moving and breathing us, and then just being still and resting in that stillness of perceiving this. We are shifting out of that sense of self-contraction that we have labeled it as fear. Fear is, in a true sense, an extreme state or an extreme condition of self-contraction. So as we sit in that space of stillness and recognizing how the breath of life is breathing me, we can rest into that. We can relax into it and savor this moment and watch how then the body, the mind, possibly the nervous system, is unraveling that tension, that stress that has arisen out of the self-contraction in the first place. The fear then dissipates, and you begin to find and discover you could say, I am here still. I am simply the one who is aware of what is arising in this moment. I am here. I am awareness. I saw the fear seemingly arising, drawing me into great contraction. Now I'm watching the fear dissipate and the contraction is unraveling. I am the awareness of this phenomenon.
Thank you. That was very peaceful, very peaceful. It was even totally empty. That's lovely. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm wondering, I'm not sure if there's anyone watching us, but if there's anyone who has a question, please, please write it down so we can ask Shival now that he's here with us sharing this time. But as anyone brings a question, I'm wondering if you could do like a 5-minute or a 5 to 10 minute meditation where we can practice a little bit of this. We just did it, by the way, but if we could do something so everyone can listen to this and go back to that space, perhaps.
Let us start with a declaration that we can voice, like an affirmation first, that in a true sense can address that heightened sense of self-contraction when we recognize that we're under the gravitational pull of fear itself. So we'll use a declaration affirmation, and then we'll go into meditation from that. Bringing our awareness first and foremost to the breath of life itself. In doing so, we are initiating the turn of attention to return back to Source. I am here. Here I am. I am here. I exist. Therefore I am. I am breathing. Therefore I am. I breathe. I exist. Therefore I matter. Therefore I belong. I belong, for I am here. I belong, for I am here. I am here. I am the one who is recognizing the breath of life entering this body. I am aware of being awareness. I am the one who is aware of the still moments. I am the awareness of the quietness. I am the awareness of the stillness. I am the awareness of witnessing the breath of life breathing this body. I am here. And now just resting for a moment, being present to the undulating movement of the breath of life, being present to this. And so it is.
And so, thank you so much, Shivallah. Thank you so much. We haven't seen any questions coming. So what I suggest is that we announce the workshop that's coming on the 28th of August from 1:30 p.m. And so we'll have a whole afternoon where Shivallah is going to give us some skills on how to anchor into being. So we will learn how to anchor our awareness into presence for the cultivation of our inner peace. We will learn some techniques to quieten the mind and bring greater internal focus and clarity. We are going to learn some practices that we can take into our nighttime for relaxation, fast recuperation, and how to have a good night's sleep. We're going to learn how to use our awareness and spiritual vision to increase our awakening and joy in our life. So that sounds very exciting, Shivallah. That sounds amazing. And so if any of you would like to join us on that day, it's an in-person workshop here at the Healing Butterfly Touch. And you can register via our website and put a link in the page again. And if you have any questions, just let us know. I'm sure that Shivallah will be very happy to answer any questions if you post them in this live later on. So,
Maria,
yep.
Maria, may I
Yep.
just add something also to
Absolutely,
the workshop
yeah.
description? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Techniques and different strategies for centering, for anchoring, certainly will be a very intrinsic part of the workshop. However, the gathering together, the quality of the unified energy field is of great importance also, regardless of whether it's in person or whether it's online through a webinar for that matter. The gathering together has quite an impact. So it will be also strengthening in that sense. Very supportive and energizing, and adding to the inner harmony by sensing that amongst others as well at the same time.
Looking forward to that workshop. So anyway, so if you have any questions, send them, put them in the post, and Shivallah will be answering. If you want to know anything about the workshop, post your questions. We will also be very happy to let you know more about the coming workshop. And also, if you'd like to contact Shivallah, where do they contact you if they want to have a session with you or anything of that matter?
Can you post email address and also, yeah, email address probably the best. Yeah, post that online for me.
Can you say it?
And also,
I will put it it in the post, but if you could.
And also the website, which is shivallah.com.
Very good. Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll put that as a comment in this live, and if anyone wants to contact Shivallah directly, you can do so. Certainly so. Okay, thank you so much for tonight, for this time we have together, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
I don't know how to stop.